I think if we go back in time and we look at these great conquerors of the world, like, Alexander the Great and people like that, they would have been extremely stoic. Without their stoic values, they wouldn't have gotten half the way they did through conquering the world and the success they had. Like Genghis Khan and all these other famous conquerors. Anything bad would have happened. They lost the battle. They lost hundreds of men or thousands of men. They still remained stoic and they still looked at the positive outcome of the end result. We're now entering the age of becoming a digital stoic, basically, as everything becomes digitalized nowadays. Things like your money, NFTs, crypto, businesses, everything is becoming online and digitalized. These old concepts of philosophy, like Stoicism, can also be digitalized too. So what does a digital stoic mean? Well, I think becoming a digital stoic means that you have access to all these things on your phone, all these instant gratification things, like scrolling through social media and TikTok and Instagram. All these things give you this instant dopamine rush, and they show you the highlight reel of all these people's lives and the best possible part of their lives. And it's only that short, 15, 20 second snippet of their life. And then you take that and you compare it naturally to your own life. And as you know, comparison is the thief of joy, because it's natural. You want to compare, you want to see what this person's up to, how's that person doing. And by constantly doing that, you're constantly taking away your own joy and the small successes, or I shouldn't say small, but the successes and wins you've had of your own life, because you're comparing, which is natural. This is where the concept of becoming a digital stoic comes into its own. As you know, the philosophy or the philosophical concept of Stoicism, and what that is to basically accept things as they are, and nothing is neither good nor bad, it just is. And as you accept that and understand that, you can kind of grasp that and put that concept and implement it into all things digital online. And the way you can apply this concept to your life is not to worry about what anyone else is doing, or not so much look at these online platforms for these very quick dopamine hits of people's highlight reels of their lives, and learn to simply ignore that. But it's much easier said than done. It's almost like an addiction. It's like comparing social media with the addiction of drugs. It's quite similar, I think, the way it impacts the brain and the dopamine that's given off by watching social media and seeing these people in their supercars and their $1 million mansions, people in these fantastic, perfect relationships, traveling the world. And most people will look at that and think, why not me? But did they ever stop to think and look about the position that they're currently in and how good it actually is for them at the moment? Before thinking how good it can be or how bad it is, just stop and think and say, it just is. It is. It's not good nor bad, but it just is. And when you can understand this, that's when you can start making progress in your own life, instead of giving energy, time and attention to all these online influencers and people like that. Because the more time and energy and attention you give them, that's where your focus is going to go, to growing to them. It's not going to go on yourself and improving your own life. But that's the kicker there, understanding how to apply this energy to yourself. And as you know, where your attention goes, where the mind goes, your physical reality will follow that. And if you constantly diverge your energy into these things, well, that's what will continue to grow. So if you want your own life to grow, this is the best time now to practice Stoicism. So, for example, something bad happens in your life. You didn't get the job, or you lost your job, or you're out of a relationship, or something like that. Just accept it for what it is, and just think. Before rushing to conclusions and making drastic decisions, just stop, accept it, and just understand and look at your overall picture of your life. Do you have somewhere to sleep? The answer is probably yes. Do you have food on the table, or can you get food on the table? Are you going to starve to death? The answer is probably no, you're not going to starve to death tonight. If you turn the tap on, do you have access to clean running water? Well, the answer is probably yes to that as well. These are the basic key life foundations. Can you sustain your life living like this? Well, yes, you can. You don't need these dramatic things, these extravagant things in your life that you get seen or that you get shown on social media all the time. When you actually stop and understand and think, what do I actually need to live? well, you've got all the basics down. Anything after that is just basically a bonus. But it's natural. It's human nature to constantly want more, to improve oneself. Because we're goal-seeking organisms. We want to always constantly be improving the quality of our lives, the quality of the people around us. But that won't happen if you're constantly giving your attention to these online things, these online dopamine, basically these online dopamine pills, like watching social media all the time. So when you go to watch that Instagram reel and you see someone living the highlight, they're living their best life on social media, don't stop and think, oh, when's mine coming? When's mine coming? When's my turn? Just stop and think what you have. What are the basics that you have? Do you have all the basic things you need to live? And if the answer is yes to all of those things, then is there really anything to worry about? Do you have the one thing that can't be taken from you? And this took a lot of time, consideration, and effort to actually grasp this concept. But the one thing that cannot be taken, that cannot be controlled, is your mind, the power of your mind, your thoughts. No one can actually control your thoughts and how you feel and what your mind says. So if you can understand that, because it took me a long time to actually understand that, because I would think, oh, my thoughts become negative if I watch someone else do something positive, or for example, it can be anything like that. But when you actually understand that you are completely and totally and utterly in control of your own thoughts, that means you can dictate your own happiness. And you can choose to be happy. You don't have to choose to be envious, jealous, desiring someone's life. You can do that about your own life. But it's only when you become, conscious of your thoughts and your understanding of the world that it's totally up to you to control your mind and your thoughts. But this enters the discussion of what is the digital stoic. It's someone that can be exposed to all these crazy things, all these crazy dopamine pills that we watch online, but you're still humbled in a sense where you realize you're in control and these things have no weight on your own life, on your own thoughts and your own happiness. But when you can understand this, that's when things will start to change. And if something bad happens in your life, you'll just say, oh, so what? It just is. And you accept it and you move on and you continue to grow, you continue to develop in your own life journey. Things will not bother you no more. That's why I think Stoicism is one of the most important concepts to grasp. And then once you understand it, actually put it into use every day. You can think to yourself, something bad happens today. Just say you get stuck in traffic. Don't just sit there, oh, I'm late, I'm stuck in traffic, I'm wasting time here. Just stop, think. This is an opportunity. You can listen to a podcast in the car. You can listen to music. You can unwind. You can relax. You actually get to be in a car, out of the rain, not on public transport or whatever. Even if you're on public transport, you get to be out of the rain, inside in an enclosed environment. So be grateful for that. Think of the positives, because I guarantee you, when you actually delve deep enough into something, you can find way, way more positives than there are negatives. But that will only come once you train your mind to think like that. It takes time. You can't just think of something all of a sudden, oh, I'm going to be stoic today, and think of all these things. But it may happen to you, but it's very unlikely that, the first time you try this, you're going to think of all the positives and erase all the negatives. That won't happen. So it will take time to kind of grasp this. But when you get better and better at it, just say anything could happen. You lose your job. Okay, think of 3 positive things that come out of this now. What are 3 positives? You've now freed up time. You've opened up new doorways to potential new opportunities and new work. And you could potentially make a new network, new connections, new friend groups through this new job you may go on, which you would never have had the chance of before if you stayed at your old job. So I guarantee you everything you look at has positives as well as negatives, but that's when it's up to you to choose where you give your attention and where to pay your time to. If you choose to follow and always look at the positives, well, what's the universe going to give you? Whatever you give your attention to. So if you constantly give your attention to these positive outcomes, you're just going to constantly get more and more positive outcomes. And you're going to create your own luck and shift how your reality works around you. And it's very subtle. It's like, I like the analogy of when you put a frog in a saucepan, I think it goes, and you slowly turn the water temperature up to a boil, the frog won't jump out of the water because it won't even know the temperature is getting gradually hotter and hotter until it starts to boil and it dies in the water. When you start to understand this concept, your life will become like that. Not that you're going to boil in water, but it's like these subtle changes come upon your lives gradually and gradually, and before you know it, you don't notice these small changes, but after the period of, it might take many months of doing this, that's when your life is literally soaring way more than what it was before. It's way more positive, and you've completely changed the way you live, and you completely changed the life around you and your network of people. So if you can give attention to the positive thoughts and remain stoic about anything that happens in your life that you would perceive to be a negative, think of the positives right away. Start listing them out in your head. Not even in your head. Start saying them out loud. You're stuck in traffic. Say it out loud to yourself. I now get to listen to a podcast. I now get to put more time and energy into relaxing my brain and switching off and not having to rush to my next destination. And I guarantee you will find way more positives than there are negatives. And when you change your thought to always thinking these positive things, that's when your vibration will essentially rise. Once your vibration raises, that's when you can actually learn to manipulate or change your reality around you. And that's a pretty amazing skill to have when you can remain positive in any situation. I think if we go back in time and we look at these great conquerors of the world, like Alexander the Great and people like that, they would have been extremely stoic. Without their stoic values, they wouldn't have gotten half the way they did through conquering the world and the success they had. Like Genghis Khan and all these other famous conquerors. Anything bad would have happened. They lost the battle. They lost hundreds of men or thousands of men. They still remained stoic, and they still looked at the positive outcome of the end result. And by doing this, it constantly led them to strive forward and continue to get a positive result. And that's how these people become so great, because they were so good at this practice. So now is the time to become the digital stoic and not let these digital things influence your life negatively. You can shift it and make them influence your life positively. But if you can remain stoic in any situation, watch how your life will completely change around you.